Hello, this is Rebecca Perry, and this is my mentor response video 2.2. So I have chosen a lady in our church by the name of Catherine Young. She is one of our worship leaders. She's on our local board, and she is in her early 30s, similar life stage as me, young children. And so I have chosen her because of that, but also because of the ability to have the face-to-face time. It is just so much better than virtually, and so I really wanted somebody that I could have that face-to-face. Kate and I also have similar life experiences. We're both from the same area. We both went to the same school, and so we're just really looking forward to a time of, ironing, sharpening iron, and deepening a friendship. So that is why I chose Kate. We had our first meeting on Sunday, January the 26th at a local coffee shop. We met for about an hour and 15, 20 minutes. We started out by talking about how our stage of life of having young children greatly impacts your ability to have deepening, very in-depth times with the Lord. My children did not sleep well, and so for the first couple of years of each of their lives, it was really hard to have any sort of discipline or focusing because you were just so tired. And so we talked about how that stage of life is a really big hindrance, maybe, in the way of our spiritual growth during that time. She had a great analogy that she shared with me of her 2-year-old daughter came into her the other day, and she was playing with a doorstop. It was a doorstop that her and her husband had made. They had just simply cut, and they had taken the time to paint it. And she said she was sitting there looking at her daughter holding this doorstop, and the amount of time that went into making that doorstop. And now her child is playing with it, and how these two very different times in life were crashing together, and just making her laugh of how these different stages of life we are able or not able to do different things. And so that framework of that state of mind, that stage of life, was a lot of what we filtered what we were talking about through. And I think the biggest thing for me, and I shared with her, was in the book, page 44, where Jones begins to talk about a self-numbness. And I think for me, that is the number one thing that stood out to me in this book, and how just as you're going through stages of life, and kids, or maybe an issue of pain or hurt, that they just kind of leave you, that you begin to feel this, that you don't feel anything. And so we talked about how that, and how we need to be paying attention to the little things that go on in life, because if we choose to be numb, yes, we might miss out on some of the negative feelings, but then we also miss out on all the joys and the beauty of life, and how we really need to keep that in check and allow ourselves to feel the negative and the positive. And so that was a big chunk of our discussion. We talked about the idea of savoring pace, and how to make that really function when you've got these little ones running around, and there's just this all-encompassing need for their attention, and how we can begin to notice things, to slow our thoughts down, and feel and experience what God is walking us through. We also talked about the idea of aggressive gratitude, which is on page 80 of Jones's book, and that just need in our lives to begin to be grateful for things, rather than seeing an interruption of a child as a distraction, but as a chance to thank the Lord that I even have that distraction. And so we discussed a lot of these different things and how they play out in our stage of life. So it was a great conversation, and looking forward to the next one as well. Thanks so much.